So now, guys, we're going to work on what we call a selection worksheet, okay? Now, this is kind of a blown-up version of it. This is what the selection worksheet's right here, okay? There's two pieces to it. One is for you, one is for your desk manager when we work the deal. Now, selection worksheet can be several different things. A selection worksheet is not something we just jot some information down on. What a selection worksheet actually is it's trial closes, okay? Here's what I mean by trial closes, guys. Now, go ahead and take some notes here and jot this down, okay? Trial closes. Now, the whole time from the meet and greet to the selection to the demo drive to the service walk to the sold hold tag, basically we've concentrated on trial closes. We asked yes questions. We got the customer responding saying yes. We made proper selection. We verified proper selection whenever we did the sold hold tag. When we had the customer either put the sold or the hold tag on, when we stood back and said, "Nice car, isn't it?" And the customer said, "Yeah, it sure is." Same way with whenever we did a service walk. We had the customer trial closing. This is where you're going to be servicing your new Altima or your new Malibu or your whatever it is that the customer has picked out. So we've been trial closing the whole time. Now it's time to put our trial closes on paper, okay? Now, there's a whole bunch of information up here we need from a customer, okay? Now, these are different orders that we do this in, guys, and it's going to be the same order every single time when we do it here at Star, because, again, we're the pro here, and this is what sets us apart from the guy down the street or the guy that they just talked to at the other dealership, okay? So our first section's right up here. All this information right up here, guys. Go ahead and circle that on your selection worksheet, guys, and I want you to put a 1 right in here, because this is the first section that we're going to do. Now, from our pot companion, again, where we jotted down the stock number, customer's name, we have all the information that we need here. The sold hold tag's missing because we have it on our selection outside. Now, right from here, I go ahead and I grab my stock number that they picked out. They picked out stock number 68714, okay? And then this next question is very important, okay? This is part of what I call about trial closing, okay? I say to the customer, where it says source right here, this is a question that gets passed on so often, and I need to know this information as a good salesman, as a professional. I don't just say to the customer, "Oh, okay, location," or just assume that they're local, or that's how they know about our dealership here. I ask them, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, what did bring you into Star Chevrolet today? How'd you hear about our dealership?" And this is going to tell me a lot of different things about the sale. They might have said, "Oh, we were online shopping around, and we came across Star Nissan." Well, that tells me what? Maybe they shopped a couple other Nissan dealerships. Maybe they got a couple quotes. I need to know these things. Maybe they just said, "Hey, just the location, you're local." Well, that's good news to me because that means they want to buy here locally. Now, if they're from Pittsburgh and I say, "How'd you hear about our dealership here?" And they say, "Well, we were up at, another Nissan dealership and we had a bad experience." Okay, so what I need to know here is I need to give them a good experience. So I need to ask this source question right here. And it could be Internet Auto Trader. It could be, they called in on the phone. Whatever that might be, you put that source there. And then again, this is going to help us build up our customer database. So they heard about us on the Internet, okay? And they say we were on Nissan's website, NNAnet. So we jot that in there. And salesperson, I put myself in there. And today is 6/4/13, right? And then I say to the customer, guys, these next questions are you have to ask these correctly, and here's what I mean by that. If I just say to the guy, "What's your cell phone number and what's your home phone?" they're probably going to say, "Oh, I don't have one," or "You don't need that," or anything like that. So as the pro, what I do is I trial close the guy, okay? Going back to a phone number, I'm going to trial close the guy. I'm going to say, "Mr. Smith, let me ask you a question. What's your phone number?" It's 724. And guys, just like anything that you start for a customer, they're automatically going to finish it for you. So I say to the customer, "Mr. Customer, what's your phone number?" Your cell phone number is 724, and they automatically finish it, 309-6814. Okay? Or they might say, no, it's 412. Oh, I apologize about that. 412. And then they automatically finish it for you guys. So that's how a pro asks for a cell phone number. I just say to Mr. Customer, "And what is your cell phone number?" 724, and he repeats 309-1111, right? Now, here's my next question that I ask here to get a home phone number. Because remember, we always want to have 2 contact phone numbers, and here's why. Most customers that have a cell phone, 99% of them have caller ID. So say we don't sell the guy a car right now, and we need to get him in our B-backs. We need phone numbers to get a hold of the guy at, right? So I simply ask this question. "And Mr. Customer, for state titling purposes, what is your home phone number?" 724, and I go ahead and start that out for him. So I say to him simply this. So I just simply ask that question. Mr. Customer, for state titling purpose, your home phone number is 724. And then 9 times out of 10, they repeat the home phone number. And they say it's 724-925-1111. And now I have the guy's home phone. Now what happens a lot now in the era of cell phones is we don't have home phones anymore. Not a problem at all. Mr. and Mrs. Smith are sitting there. I guarantee they both have a cell phone. So I asked Mr. Smith, I said, Mr. Smith, what is your cell phone number? It's 724. And he repeats it for me. And I say, for state titling purposes, what is the home phone? 724. And they say, oh, we don't have one. Oh, not a problem. Mrs. Smith, for state titling purposes, what is that cell phone number? 724. And then Mrs. Smith goes ahead and she finishes the phone number for me. So now I just got 2 points of contact, okay? Now the next one's going to be the business, okay? And because I was the pro and I asked qualifying questions and I built rapport, I know Mr. Smith works up at Best Buy up here in Greensburg, right? So I can simply say to him, instead of saying, Mr. Smith, what's your work phone number? Because 95% of the time a customer is going to say, oh no, I can't get called at work. Now as the pro, because I did my job up front, I just simply say the question, hey Mr. Customer, the store's number up at Best Buy is 724. And Mr. Customer finishes it for me because I set him up and I didn't ask him what his work phone number is. I just said, hey, the phone number up at work up at Best Buy is 724, and he finishes it for me, guys. So these are questions that we ask throughout the sale that's going to help us on our selection worksheet, okay? Now, my next question is going to be a simple email address. Guys, everyone has an email address. I don't care if they're 20 years old or 95 years old. Everyone has an email address. So I just simply ask the customer, is a work or a personal email better for you? Oh, I like to use my personal email. Okay, and what is that? And they say it's jimsmith@yahoo.com. And now, guys, because I've done trial closes the whole time, and because I have control of the sale, and because the customer said yes to me so many times, I have control of this worksheet right here. Now I have a proper selection worksheet filled out. Okay? Now, I have all the information here. I have all the information I need here. I have the customer's email address. I have 3 points of contact, right? Now, so we say, what's next? Right? Because there's a lot of information on here. There's purchaser's name, the year, makes and models, equipment, selling prices, exact delivery date and time. Okay, my next thing that I'm going to do is right here, and go ahead and put a number 2 on your selection worksheet. This is when we're going to reiterate to the customer their new vehicle, the vehicle that they picked out, right? So I say to the customer, you picked out a new 2013 Nissan Altima. Now, this is where the pro doesn't stop, okay? Great, the guy picked out a Nissan Altima, right? Well, let's reiterate to him what he picked out. Because, guys, now we left the car sitting outside with a sold or a hold tag on it. Now I'm inside. The customer starts to cool off a little bit because they're not in the car anymore. We need to get them re-excited about the car. So you picked out the Altima in the sedan. Color, trim. Guys, very important questions right here. And here's why, okay? I'm going to say to the customer, and Mr. Customer, the color you picked out was the black, the color that you really wanted, right? And the guy says, yeah. So what am I doing? I'm putting them back in the car, right? I'm going over his hot buttons right here. And the trim is the cloth interior, and I know you really like that because I know you said you didn't like the leather because in the summertime it gets too hot, which I completely understand. Or if it is the leather, you say to the guy, and you picked out the one with the leather. Boy, that's going to be nice for those heated seats, isn't it? And the guy says, yeah. So, guys, we're reclosing the customer. Now, on my Pod Companion, I put the VIN number on. So, I put the last 6 numbers of the VIN right here. Okay? And then in my trim spot here, which I apologize right here, trim, I can write if they picked out the SV or the SL. You know, guys, I'm just rebuilding value in the car. Okay? So, now I've gone over number 2 right here. The customer's selection. This is, again, a selection worksheet, so I want to reiterate to the customer that this is the car that you picked out. Now, guys, one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because not the next step, but pretty soon I'm going to reiterate to this guy the selling price. Okay? I need to make sure before I quote him a selling price, I reiterated to him and I built the value in what he picked out. So he picked out the new 2013 Nissan Altima sedan. With the black exterior, with the SV or the SL, with the cloth or the leather, okay, with VIN number ending in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's his new vehicle. Now, right here is my next spot, selection, or is my equipment spot, okay? Go ahead and put number 3 right here on your worksheet. Now guys, this is going to be equipment that the customer picked out, the hot buttons. Remember, because we were the pro, we asked the guy a bunch of yes questions and qualifying questions, and we found out what he really wanted and his likes and dislikes about the vehicle. And then remember, at the end, right before we did the sold hold tag, we stepped back and we said, well, them wheels sure are nice, aren't they? Or, boy, that spoiler sure looks good, doesn't it? And we asked them those yes questions. So these are my hot buttons, the equipment that the customer wanted out of their vehicle, right? So whether it be the sunroof, okay? And here's where we get the customer involved. Again, the non-pro just jot some stuff down here to fill in this little spot of the worksheet. Guys, this is again to rebuild value in what the customer wants and needs are. So we just simply asked the guy, hey, Mr. Smith, I know you said you wanted the sunroof. What was the other equipment that you said you wanted to have? Hey, I really like that CVT transmission. Or he might say, you know what, my last vehicle didn't have keyless entry, and I really like that. That's a hot button. Guys, this completely, you can have the same exact car picked out, but with two customers, the equipment list is completely different. Because it's what the customer's hot buttons are. So we're going to rebuild the value. Basically what we're going to do is, again, we were out back, we did the sold hold tag, now we're inside, now we're filling out a selection worksheet. We're out of the car. Guys, we're putting the customer back in the car right here. We're talking about the sunroof, the leather, the heated seats, the alloy wheels, the spoiler, whatever it is that the customer liked, the color. Anything that the customer's hot buttons were, if it was the safety, if it was the airbags, if it was the 5-star crash rating, it doesn't matter what it is I'm getting the customer involved and I'm asking, what else did you like about that car? And basically, guys, what I'm doing behind the scenes is I'm reiterating to him why I'm going to tell him the selling price is so much. I'm building the value in the car. So we go through and the customer says, you know, the sunroof and the 5-star crash rating was very important to me, and the 5-passenger seating and this, that, and the other. And I'm just letting the customer go. And then I'm going to save one for my back pocket that maybe the customer doesn't say, and you know, I'm going to mention to him something about, you know, oh, you know what else will be nice? And the customer says what? I'll say that free oil change every year down in our brand new service department. That'll be nice too, won't it? And he says, yeah, it will be. So I go ahead and put my oil changes here. Okay, so I finish up the last hot button, okay? Now, here's, guys, where I go over to next, okay? I go to my selling price. Now, again, I just reiterated to the customer his new car that he picked out with his VIN number ending in that. I had him reiterate to me all the equipment that he really liked on the car. I got him started with the sunroof, and I said, what else did you like about it? And we built it up, and then I finished with one thing that he forgot to mention, just to put that little extra oomph in the value. And then I say to the customer, and Mr. Customer, the selling price is $27,895. Now, I do not stop here, and here's why I don't stop. If I stop here, 95% of your customers are going to object to the price. Okay, guys, this has to flow so smoothly, and again, this is where we're the pros versus the non-pro down the street that they just met. So I just simply built the value in the car. I come right over here and I say, Mr. and Ms. Customer, the selling price is $27,895. And then I go up to number 5, guys, and I just simply say, and it says right here, exact delivery date and time. What did you want me to put in there? And from that, the customer can respond one of two ways. Well, what do you mean? And I say, when did you want to take delivery of your new Altima? And guys, this is where some objections can come out. So before we get to the objections, I'm going to go back here. We're going to talk about the selling price, guys. We're going to quote the selling price right here, and we're not going to stop. Okay? This is really the only part in this worksheet that we never stop. Here we stop to get information. Here we stop and fill it in with the customer. Here we build the value with the customer. We don't stop here. We just quote the selling price of the customer. Mr. Customer, the selling price is $27,895. And it says right here, exact delivery date and time. What did you want me to put in there? And the customer, again, can respond one of two ways. He can maybe say, well, I'd like to take my new Altima home right now. And then we go ahead and we just go ahead and write now, right in there. Okay? Or the customer says, well, what do you mean? I say, well, when did you want to take home your new Altima and start enjoying it? And the guy might say, well, today if I could, right now. And I say, okay, great. So it sounds like to me exact delivery date and time would be right now. Okay? Now, after I get the now from the customer, now, I'll go back into that here in a minute. Guys, if the customer says a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, it doesn't matter. We'll find out why. So this is just the customer that says, I do want to take delivery right now. And then we simply say to the customer, being the pro that we are, we say, okay, great. And Mr. and Mrs. Smith, in purchasing your new vehicle right now, and this is number 6, in purchasing your vehicle right now, how exactly did you want it titled? And they say, well, we titled it under both names. Okay. And Jim, is it Jim or is it James? And he says it's James. and I go ahead and write James in here. And I write, and Susie, is it Susie or, no, it's Suzanne. So I write James and Suzanne. And I say, again, because I'm constantly closing this guy, I'm saying, hey, so we make sure the state title work is correct on your new Ultima. How do you spell your last name? And they say Smith, just like it sounds, S-M-I-T-H. Okay, so I just reiterated the guy right here. Not only are you taking delivery right now, I want to make sure that your paperwork's going to be correct for the state paperwork. Guys, I'm constantly closing this guy, okay? I'm closing. And I say, okay, and the address that we're going to be titling the new car at, and they say it's 111 Cedar Street. And is that down in Greensburg? Yeah, it's down in Greensburg. Okay, Greensburg, PA 15601. Okay? And guys, that's how I properly fill out a selection worksheet. Okay? Get the information up top. Go to number 2 with the vehicle. Number 3 for the equipment. 4, quote your selling price. 5, exact delivery date and time. And 6 is going to be entitling your new vehicle. How exactly did you want to have it titled?